Hi, I am in First Samuel. So there's First and Second Samuel, and they were originally one big book, but they've been broken into two books just to make it easier to read because First Samuel in itself is 31 chapters, and First and Second Samuel is really not about Samuel as much as it is about two kings, Saul and David, King Saul and King David. And you probably heard about King David. Samuel was not a judge or a king, he was a prophet. So it starts off with a lady named Hannah who was barren, and she prayed to have a child, and she got pregnant. She ended up having 6 children. But her first son was Samuel, and she made him a Nazarite, which was the same that Samson was, the judge Samson that became that strong guy with the long hair and all that. And Samuel was also a Nazarite and a prophet. God actually revealed himself to him when he was 12 years old, and he became a leader. So they no longer had judges, and now Samuel is a leader. And of the Israelites, and they're in Israel, which was still called Canaan or the Promised Land or the Holy Land. It's all the same. It's Israel. But the people again are disobedient. They just don't even listen to someone who speaks to God. They're religious. They become religious, and they take the Ark of the Covenant, and they have the Philistines coming at them, and they lost the personal relationship with God. And so they're like, okay, well, like Moses held the rod and split the water, so we can probably use the Ark of the Covenant, and we'll just put it there, and then the Philistines won't be able to touch us. God will just use it. So they lost the relationship, and so they actually put the Ark of the Covenant there, and so the Philistines just came and took it. Then God did redeem them for being dumb, and he sent a plague on the Philistines all by himself, and so they got scared and returned the Ark of the Covenant. So God did show that that Ark of the Covenant is his, but it was not the Israelites were not to go through it. He wants them to go through him and a personal relationship. But even after that, the Israelites complain and says, well, we need some kind of strong leaders. We want kings. So Samuel takes that up with God, and now they want kings. And he says, well, go ahead and give them kings. We'll see how that works out for them. So first he is to appoint Saul. So Saul is the first king. And Saul starts off doing well, as many other leaders have done in the past, but he fails. He falls due to dishonesty, lack of integrity, a dose of pride, and disobedience. And so Samuel, who's a prophet who speaks to God, warns him that God is going to rise up a new king that will replace him. So then there's a story about the Philistine Goliath, who's a giant, a very tall man, and they're looking for someone to defeat him. And David, who's just a little shepherd boy, Samuel feels that he's the one that's supposed to be a leader, even though I think he's the youngest boy in the family and smallest. But he's like, no, he's the one. If God showed him, he's the one. And David has a heart for God and believes that God will give him the strength to take down Goliath. And you've all heard about David and Goliath. He defeats Goliath, and he goes on to become a general for King Saul. But Saul, who is losing his integrity and confidence and starts developing bad fruits of his flesh, so to speak, in modern terms, and he becomes very jealous of David. to the point where he actually tries to kill him. Even though he's a general of his army, he tries to kill him. So it keeps setting him up to get killed. But God protects David. And also because David knows he's hated by Saul and that Saul's trying to kill him. He actually has the opportunity to kill Saul, but he doesn't. He spares him. He spares the revenge against Saul and continues being protected by God. Saul, the bad king, also has a son named Jonathan. And Jonathan, being the son of the king, could be the next one to be king after his father. And he could kind of have fought for that position, but he doesn't. He loves David. They're best friends. And he actually supports David becoming king and willingly supports that. And then Saul and his son Jonathan dies in battle, and David becomes the next king. And that's what's going to be more focused in 2 Samuel, about David's reign. So 1 and 2 Samuel. Samuel was the prophet who worked behind the scenes, who God worked through Samuel to appoint Saul as the first king and David as the second king.